Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching third part of What If Naruto Was the Ulquiorra Schiffer. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Ulquiorra could tell from the way the Kumo shinobi at the village gate tensed up that they knew who he and the two Jinchuriki behind him were. Even just seeing him probably made the two gate guards shake in their combat boots, but seeing the two Jinchuriki with the combined tail strength of Kyuubi made them probably pee their pants out of fear for what the three of them would do to the village. Ulquiorra just stopped at the entrance to the gate and said, "I'm here to talk to your Raikage." The two guards were shaking, but one nodded and ran off to get their village leader. 5 minutes later. "So you're the famous Ulquiorra Schiffer, huh? The one who kills high-ranking shinobi? Based on your reputation, I was expecting someone with more muscle and not someone with the body of a twig," said the Raikage, who was the exact opposite of Ulquiorra in every way. Ulquiorra was about the same height as most people. He was a tall man. Where Ulquiorra was skinny and lean. The Raikage was so strong that he or she could move mountains. Color of skin? Ulquiorra was white, and the Raikage was a dark brown with a good tan. "Same to you, Raikage of Kumo. Based on what I heard about you before I came here, I was expecting someone stronger," Ulquiorra said when he saw that the Raikage was angry about what he had said. "You have a lot of guts and balls to say that to me, punk. Even the Eight Tails knows not to do that after I cut off one of its horns in battle before I sealed him into my little brother," said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra raise an eyebrow. "Given how strong these creatures are, that's pretty impressive for a human, but it's not enough to stop me from killing you right now and the whole village if I want to," Ulquiorra said to the Raikage, who still had an angry look on his face. The Raikage asked in a simple way, "How do I know you're not going to do that now?" Ulquiorra looked behind him and saw Killer Bee and Niyugito ready to defend their Raikage.
"If I had wanted to kill you and get rid of Kumo, this conversation wouldn't have gone on this long," he said.
When the Raikage saw Ulquiorra nod, he asked, "Like you did with the Tsuchikage in Iwa and then in Rice Country after killing Orochimaru of the Sannin and Kabuto?" "Right. And on the way here, I killed Uchiha Itachi, Hoshigaki Kisame, Kakuzu, and Hidan of the Akatsuki organization. I think they were coming here for you too," Ulquiorra said, seeing the shock on their faces. When Ulquiorra nodded, the Raikage asked, "Do you have proof that they are dead?" Han said, "We saw it happen," and Roshi agreed. "That, and I have 2 of the 4 Akatsuki rings as proof. I gave Uchiha Sasuke his brother's ring to make him feel even worse, which was only right since he was the reason I lost my heart," Ulquiorra said, seeing Yugito's face turn a little green. "Would you like to collect the bounty on them? If so, I need proof of the Uchiha's death and something solid for the other one," the Raikage said when he saw Ulquiorra nod and motion for Han to step forward with a sealing scroll. Ulquiorra showed them the Kusanagi blade while Roshi held up Hidan's broken scythe and asked, "Will the head of the Uchiha and Hidan's broken scythe be enough?" He also wanted to collect the bounty on Orochimaru and his assistant Kabuto by using the man's sword as proof. When the Raikage saw the head of Uchiha Itachi, he said, This will do. I also want to talk to you about a possible alliance to deal with the other remaining Akatsuki members. They will come for your brother, the blonde next to him, Han, Roshi, and the others for their master plan, and we can't let that happen," Ulquiorra said when he saw the Raikage look at him with a calculating look and then turn to let them in. "Jinchuriki aren't liked in the world, but my brother is the only family I have left, and I couldn't leave him to a life like that. Yugito is also treated well in Kumo because my little brother would never forgive me if I gave him special treatment while a fellow Jinchuriki was mocked for what she held," said the Raikage as he led them to his office. "And it's clear that showing them the respect they deserve pays off," Ulquiorra said when he saw that both Bee and Yugito were being treated with respect by the people of Kumo. "Yes. Unfortunately, we are an island when it comes to this policy, and we wish we could show the world how wrong they are with how they treat Jinchuriki. The only other Jinchuriki left, besides the Kazekage in Suna, is the one in Taki, which holds the 7-tailed Jinchuriki and uses her like a damn guard dog. They don't even let her live in the village, but they make sure she stays just close enough so she can't run away. That is very impressive, Raikage-sama. Only a few people in your position of power would do that if they knew something like that about this girl," Ulquiorra said, as he liked this place more and more as time went on. "Thank you, Ulquiorra-sama," said the Raikage as he sat down in his office chair and moved the barbell he used as a paperweight when he wasn't working out to do more paperwork. Ulquiorra said, "I don't want this alliance to be just us two. I want others to join to fight the Akatsuki and the other villages that mistreated their Jinchuriki. The Raikage nodded, showing that he understood. I figured you would, since you saved Tsunade's Kazekage, who is also a Jinchuriki, and then killed the Tsuchikage for treating his own like weapons. You won't find them in Mist, because the Mizukage killed one of them after a successful coup there, and the other has been missing for a while. He's been thought to be dead, most likely at the hands of the Akatsuki, said the Raikage. And it scared him much more than it made him angry. A Chunin who was nervous to talk in front of Ulquiorra, Han, and Roshi said, Raikage-sama, I need to talk to you. Speak. Said the Raikage, since it was impossible to keep something from Ulquiorra at this point. Our scouts say a female Hyuga is near the Lightning Country border, and from what they can tell, she's a main family member, the Chunin told the man. The man's eyes widened in surprise. Is it possible? No. Ulquiorra hoped it wasn't Hinata and thought she wouldn't. There's more. One of our spies told us that she ran away from the Hyuga clan in Konoha, but no one knows why. Several Chunin and Junin have been sent to bring her back before she can be charged, said the Chunin as he saw Ulquiorra get up from his chair and open the garganta near the window. Yugito asked Ulquiorra-sama, where are you going, Ulquiorra-sama? As he walked into that dark place.
Ulquiorra said, I thought it would be obvious.
I'm going to save what's left of my heart, as he went into the garganta. He didn't care about how surprised they looked. With Hinata. You can't get away from Hinata. If you give up, the Hokage will be easy on you, Kiba, Shikamaru, Neji, Kurenai, and Asuma told them. Hinata said, no, my place is with Ulquiorra. I won't go back to a village that hates him even more than when he was Naruto-kun. She was getting ready for battle and wasn't going to give up without a fight. Hinata, you have to understand that the Hokage has to make decisions that we don't agree with, but we have to accept them because they are for the good of the village, Kurenai said when she saw Hinata staring at her. When she orders the death of someone you love, I doubt you'll be singing the same song and be in the same place I am now, Hinata said. She saw Kurenai trying to argue with her, but failing miserably, and she knew she had the older woman beat. No matter what, Hinata-sama, you will be taken back and punished for this. Both the Hokage and the Hyuga clan will make sure of that, Neji said as he moved closer to fight her and teach his cousin a lesson. No, she won't be punished, Ulquiorra said as he stepped out of the garganta and stood behind Hinata, staring intently at the group. Hinata said, Ulquiorra-kun. As she saw him look from the leaf shinobi to her. She saw the side of his lip twitch for such a short time because she had the Byakugan on and was so close to him. Ulquiorra said, hello, Hinata-chan, and then looked back at the people in front of him. Hinata asked, how did you know where I was? She hadn't expected him to find her, and the fact that he did made the Hyuga woman's heart swell with happiness. I was meeting with the Raikage in Kumo when a shinobi told me that a spy in the leaf told him that you had left Konoha and that a capture team was looking for you, Ulquiorra said, noticing Neji tense up and look at him. Neji said to the Arrancar, who had raised an eyebrow at him, so you're not only a bigger monster than before, but you're also siding with the village that killed my father and shames my family. Coming from the man who tried to kill his own cousin out of anger and hurt pride 3 years ago at the Chunin preliminaries, your actions then and now are very much like those of a mindless hollow, Ulquiorra said, seeing Neji frown in confusion while his anger seemed to grow. Shut up. Hinata-sama has left the Hyuga clan and the Leaf Village. She will be punished, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, said Neji as he charged forward, while Ulquiorra just took a few steps in front of Hinata with his hands in his pockets. When Neji put his palm out in front of him, Ulquiorra jumped up and put the tip of one foot on the back of the hand. He then kicked the Hyuga in the face with the other foot. Neji was sent flying back into Asuma by the force of the blow. Asuma had to put chakra into his feet to keep from falling over when he caught the younger shinobi, and he gave the Arrancar a mean look. Shikamaru tried to use shadow possession on Ulquiorra, but he easily beat it. He then grabbed Asuma's fist and squeezed it until it broke, making the Junin cry out in pain. Ulquiorra then bent the arm at an odd angle, hit the Sarutobi in the ribs with his free hand, breaking quite a few of them, and grabbed the man by the throat. When Neji tried to attack him, Ulquiorra kicked him away. Let him go, said Kurenai as he grabbed Hinata from behind and put a kunai to her throat. Hinata asked, K Kurenai-sensei? She couldn't believe her old sensei would do this and pull a weapon on her. When Kurenai saw Ulquiorra look at her and then at Hinata, she said, I told you to let him go, or I'll cut Hinata's throat.
You would kill a former student? Just like that? Over him? Ulquiorra asked with a raised eyebrow, while Kurenai's eyes narrowed. She's replaceable, Kurenai said when she saw Ulquiorra look at her, then at Asuma, and then back at her. It's clear you care about this Junin more than you're willing to admit, Ulquiorra said when he saw Kurenai press the kunai against Hinata's throat again. When Kurenai saw Ulquiorra look at Hinata before throwing Asuma into a nearby tree, he said, "Let him go or she will die." When Ulquiorra saw Kurenai smirk, he said, "Done. Now let her go or I'll put a hole in your heart." Look, Ulquiorra, it looks like you do have a weakness after all, Kurenai said as Ulquiorra's eyes got a little narrower. Ulquiorra said to Kurenai, "You have one last chance. If you kill her, everything you love will die before you do." Kurenai was making hand signs, but Asuma's arm being cut off by Bala made her stop and look at the Junin in shock. Kurenai yelled, "Bastard!" when he saw Asuma crying out in pain. "Judging from your one-handed hand signs, you weren't going to let Hinata go, and I had come to the immediate conclusion that you thought I was bluffing. Now you know that I'm not bluffing. The next attack goes through his heart. Let her go or he dies. If not him, then someone else on this little leaf team, if not all of them, and you will be the last to die," said Ulquiorra, seeing before charging up another Bala to unleash on Asuma or Neji should he feel like it. With a small snarl, Kurenai let go of Hinata, but she tensed up right away when she saw that Ulquiorra kept the strange attack ready to fire, and she wondered why. Then she saw something crawling almost unnoticeably toward Hinata. She had to hold back a smile, knowing that victory was almost there. Or what she thought was victory, until Ulquiorra shot his Bala into the trees where Shikamaru was hiding and put a hole the size of a fist in his chest. The leaf shinobi, who was now dead, fell out of the tree. Neji hit him several times from behind because he never took his eyes off Kurenai. Each time the Hyuga prodigy hit him, Kurenai's hope grew. "Ulquiorra-san, your chakra points are now sealed. It's over," said Neji as he hit the Arrancar in the exposed temple and waited for the man to fall. He did not. Instead, Ulquiorra grabbed Neji's hand by the wrist and broke that part of the Hyuga before breaking the arm it was attached to. Neji slowly turned to look at the leaf shinobi, who was now in pain. The two of them were now looking at each other in the eyes, and Neji finally realized how bad his situation was. Ulquiorra said, "You're right, Hyuga Neji. It's over," then put a hole in Neji's chest and threw him into a tree, where he fell down. Dead. Kiba said, "How could you do that to Neji? He's Hinata's cousin." As Akamaru barked at him. Ulquiorra's eyes told the dog to stop barking, though. "She'll hate you now, Baka," said Kurenai, who was both happy and angry that Neji's death would ruin the relationship between the Arrancar and Hinata. "If Hinata wants to hate me, then so be it," Ulquiorra said, knowing that this was always a real possibility. He looked at the Hyuga girl, who wasn't looking at him because she was probably sad about her cousin's death. "Gatsuka!" Kiba yelled as he and Akamaru attacked Ulquiorra with Ulquiorra, but the Arrancar easily pushed them both away, and the Inuzuka landed near Hinata. "Demonic illusion. Tree-binding death," said Kurenai. She had had enough of this man and put him in her genjutsu, knowing that only someone with a dojutsu could break out of it. Ulquiorra said, "You really think this will help you kill me?" As the tree wrapped around him and Kurenai appeared through it with a kunai in his hand and a hateful look on his face. Kurenai said, "I know it will, monster," as she moved the kunai to his throat. But before she could do anything, a blow from behind knocked the woman down, and she saw the form of Hyuga Hinata there with the Byakugan active. Hinata said, "I won't let you kill him." When she realized that all that was once good in Konoha was dead or gone. "Hinata, you would help him? He killed your cousin Neji. Shikamaru is dead. Asuma, Kiba, and Akamaru are badly hurt." "Why?" asked Kurenai, noticing that Hinata was now frowning at her. "Because he is everything to me. Just as I am to him. I chose Ulquiorra the moment I left the leaf. No hesitation and no turning back. You held a kunai to my throat and asked him to free your secret lover or you would kill me. He let me go, but you were going to use me against him and called me his weakness. I will never be his weakness. Never," said Hinata, feeling a fire in her body arise that she never thought possible after Naruto's initial death until now. "I was bluffing. I would never hurt you, Hinata-chan." "You're my favorite student," said Kurenai, but Hinata didn't believe her and walked away from the woman before Ulquiorra himself stood in her line of sight. Ulquiorra told the Junin, "Go back to the Leaf Village, Kurenai. Tell your Hokage that her time in this world is coming to an end, and so are the lives of all the pawns she sends against me." She then walked away from the Junin and stopped to look at Asuma's bleeding stump of an arm. "No, don't. Run, Asuma," said Kurenai when he saw Ulquiorra form a single green ball of energy about the size of a marble on the tip of his right finger. Ulquiorra said, "Sero," and then he put a hole in Asuma's chest. Kurenai yelled, "No," as her secret lover was killed right in front of her eyes. She then cried into the ground and hit it with her fist. Ulquiorra ignored her and focused on Hinata. He touched the Hyuga girl's face carefully, as if it were made of glass. She leaned into him, enjoying how his touch felt, and soon she was holding him in her arms and crying slowly into his shirt. Hinata said, "I'm ready to go now," and she felt a hand wrap around her body. Soon, she felt herself leave the ground and rise into the air. Ulquiorra was actually in the air, almost standing there like there was an invisible floor to stand on and walk on, even though Hinata was afraid to let go. Hinata was surprised again when she looked up at him and saw the Arrancar smirk, which was like a smile to him. He pulled her closer. "So am I. Let's go," Ulquiorra whispered in her ear as he took the girl slowly to Kumo and enjoyed how her touch made him feel. How had it been so long since he had felt anything? So much time had passed since he died, but he could still feel emotions and the good feelings they gave him, even though they were rare. It felt good to be in Hinata's arms. Kumo Raikage's office. Yugito said to Han and Roshi, who were both nodding, "You really trust this guy, don't you? We were going to be sent back to Iwa and trained to be mindless weapons for the Tsuchikage, but Ulquiorra-sama stopped that, killed the Anbu team, and told us to go to Wave Country to find happiness there. Unfortunately, Leaf Shinobi came there shortly after Ulquiorra-sama to kill him, which made us both targets for everyone else if we stayed," Roshi said when he saw Yugito nod. "Man, the Leaf is crazy, just like Iwa, and they should know better than to attack. If they were really smart, they'd stop and think instead of jumping and blinking. It hurts my head and makes me want to say how I feel about what they're doing," B said before a paperweight hit her. "What have I told you about rapping?" The Raikage asked in a mad tone. "Sorry, A, but you know me. If I'm not rapping, I'm not Killer B," said B, making the others sweat and shake their heads at him.
"The way you talk is strange," Ulquiorra said as he and Hinata walked into the room.
"Is this the Hyuga girl who ran away from the Leaf?" asked A. He could tell from her beauty and the fact that she was a Hyuga that he was getting old. "Damn it," Yugito thought, "her chest is bigger than mine," while the Nibi made fun of its jealous host. "Yes. Her name is Hinata," Ulquiorra said when he saw Han and Roshi bowing to Hinata. Han said, "It's an honor, Hinata-sama," making Hinata feel bad about all this attention. Hinata said, "Oh, please don't bow to me. I'm not special." She didn't know why they would bow to her at all. "But you are. You make Ulquiorra-sama happy, and that is enough for us," Roshi said as he and the other man stood up. "You do realize that just having her here could start a war with the Leaf, right?" asked A, who knew that such things happened for less and could get bloody very quickly. "It's very unlikely. The Leaf no longer has the power to fight Kumo. Some of their best shinobi are dead, and Suna is no longer on their side because of political problems," Ulquiorra said, noticing that the man nodded in agreement. He had heard the same thing and figured it had something to do with the Arrancar's past life. Still, the fact that Kumo has 4 Jinchuriki and a Hyuga main family member inside its walls will make some villages nervous and could lead to an unlikely alliance against us, said A, who knew that the old saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," could come true. "If that happens, I'll help you deal with it, and in exchange I want all of us to live here in Kumo. But if Han or Roshi want to leave the village after this is over, you'll let them, and you won't try to stop them from finding happiness outside of the village," Ulquiorra said when he saw the Raikage nod. "Done," said a while, and Yugito was surprised that he agreed so quickly. "Thank you, Raikage-sama. Other than Sabaku no Gara, you are the only other Kage I respect, and I look forward to working with you in the near future," Ulquiorra said with a slight bow before leaving the office with Han, Roshi, and Hinata to find temporary housing until a more permanent home could be built. Yugito asked B, who seemed to agree with her, "Why did you agree to his demands so quickly, Raikage-sama?" Killer B scratched his head and said, "Yeah, bro. With the word, go. You pretty much gave the green light. Because, said A, it's better to be on the devil's side than in his way, and I'd rather not have Kumo in his line of sight if he wants to destroy it. Yugito nodded his head in agreement, since the Nibi were very afraid of Ulquiorra. A lot of fear. Killer B said, that albino is strong like a rhino, and the Raikage hit him with a paperweight. The Raikage yelled, damn it B. Stop rapping. Which made everyone in the village sweat drop. Konoha Hokage's officia 1 week later. Hokage-sama, you need to cut back on the sake, said Shizune, who knew that even the best medic nin in the world couldn't drink this much sake without getting sick. I'll cut back when I feel like it, Shizune. Now get out. Said Tsunade. She had just come back from the hospital, where she had finished healing what was left of the injured team sent to bring back Hyuga Hinata, only to find that Ulquiorra Schiffer had shown up and killed about half the team, leaving the other half badly hurt. The only good thing it did was give the woman a chance to explain why she should stay as Hokage. She had to show the fire daimyo that Ulquiorra was a threat to all the other villages and countries if she wasn't dealt with properly. Something she said was possible if she could stay as Hokage and work with Jiraiya on a plan to take down the Arrancar. The fire daimyo told Tsunade that if she failed even once in a plan to stop Ulquiorra Schiffer, she would lose her position as Hokage of the Leaf and be replaced by someone with a clearer head. Tsunade, the situation is worse than you think, said Jiraiya, who almost threw her sake bottle at him when she saw Tsunade staring at him. If it weren't full. How so? Tsunade asked before taking a drink from the bottle. Ulquiorra has joined Kumo. The 2 Jinchuriki from Iwa have decided to join too, as long as he's there. He just recently got Taki's Jinchuriki the same day he killed most of the capture team. The Jinchuriki there was a girl named Fu, who holds the 7-tailed demon inside her body, and has grown to like Ulquiorra after he told her that everything she was told about the outside world was. When? Where? Tsunade asked, knowing that this might be their chance to attack. In 3 days, the Raikage and Ulquiorra will meet with Mizukage Terumi Mei to talk about how to fight the Akatsuki in Wave Country, which is currently neutral and has the Wave Daimyo's blessing as long as everyone stays nice. The Spring Daimyo will also be there because she wants to see Ulquiorra and see how much he's changed from the blonde-haired Gaki we all knew years ago. We need to do something to make it look like a trap, Jiraiya, Tsunade told her old teammate, who was thinking about it but had no ideas and didn't know how to turn potential allies into enemies. Or we could just leave it alone. I doubt Mist will want to make an alliance with Tsunade. If we get involved, it could give Mist a reason to turn its attention on us, and then they'll sign an alliance even if it's just to destroy the Leaf, Jiraiya said, not wanting to start a fight. No. The Fire Daimyo wants me to nip this problem with Ulquiorra Schiffer in the bud, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. You along with the Madio guy, Rock Lee, Tenten and the other remaining Rookie 9 are going to go to that meeting place to turn those 2 villages against each other. Akatsuki will eventually react, weakening them further, and then we strike when the brat least expects it. Said Tsunade evilly while Jiraiya just sighed. He's too powerful. Even if you could get close to him, the others won't let you, and not to mention the majority of the power in Kumo now consists of almost all the remaining Jinchuriki in the elemental countries. The only one not in Kumo is in Suna, and he'd sooner kill a Leaf ambassador that walked into his village than hear a single offer we give him, said Jiraiya seeing Tsunade glaring at him. Make it work, Jiraiya. I don't care how you do it or how much it costs. I just want that damn brat dead. Said Tsunade as she slammed her fist on the desk and emphasized the last word she said. Yes, Tsunade, that's the trouble. You don't care anymore. And that's what's going to kill us all, Jiraiya thought. It was bad enough that he had to deal with the Uchiha, who was in the hospital's mental ward, and with Inoichi trying to get the child out of his bad mood. Now he had to plan his own death, in a way. When the sun shone into Ulquiorra's bedroom on a new morning in Kumo, the Arrancar couldn't remember the last time he slept so peacefully. Even if Hyuga Hinata was cuddling with him in his bed in the house he had bought, and the happy smile on her face made the former espada realize that the emptiness in his heart had been getting smaller since he met the woman. As Ulquiorra looked at his hollow hole in silence, he realized that it had shrunk by half in the short time he had been with Hinata. They hadn't done it, of course, because he didn't know how making love worked, which was understandable since he had just started to feel some of the right feelings for a relationship. Hinata didn't care because being with him was the answer to her prayers, even though he wasn't the original version of the man she loved. She accepted him as Ulquiorra Schiffer. Is this what it really means to be alive? Am I any closer to feeling at least a little bit alive? Ulquiorra thought. Aizen-sama would know, but since he's not here to tell me, I'll have to do things on my own and try to remember what it's like to feel again. At the same time, he found himself stroking Hinata's hair, and the woman let out a small moan at the attention. He stopped when someone knocked on the door. When the person behind the bedroom door opened it, he saw that it was Taki's Jinchuriki Fu, who was now part of his new fraction. The green-haired girl was a little jealous that Hinata was in the same bed with him. It was clear that she wanted to show Ulquiorra how much she appreciated him, and Fu could only think of one way to do that, by touching him. Still, Fu was very patient, and the green-haired, seven-tailed Jinchuriki knew she would have to be patient with Ulquiorra. Han and Roshi had told her how the Arrancar came to be based on what the man himself had told them. Ulquiorra-sama, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Raikage needs you in his office in an hour. He says it's important, Fu said, trying not to look at the Arrancar's chest, which she liked to look at even though it didn't have many muscles. The Seven Tails kept saying that the Arrancar was a powerful being who should be respected. Thank you, Fu. I'll be ready to meet the Raikage soon, Ulquiorra said, trying to be polite even though he didn't feel anything. He hoped the green-haired woman would understand. Fu smiled, bowed, and then closed the door. She really likes you, Hinata said in a low voice. I know, Ulquiorra said as he ran his hand through Hinata's hair. Ulquiorra-kun, you could start your own clan and have more than one wife, Hinata said as she looked up at him and saw that his eyebrow was raised. Ulquiorra said, I don't think I could handle that, at least not yet, when he saw Hinata smile slightly, kiss his bare shoulder, and put a gentle hand over the hollow hole. Hinata said, you have a lot of time to decide. Just think about it. You deserve to be happy. She wished she could fix the hole herself. Even Hinata's love could not fill the empty space. Naruto was never loved in almost any way during his whole life, and he died with a deep sense of loss. Ulquiorra told her that the hole was getting smaller, but the Hyuga woman knew that it would take more than her love to get rid of it and make the man feel again. Ulquiorra said, I'll do it. He knew he had to get ready to see the Raikage, but he didn't want to ruin this time with Hinata, and she seemed to know it even now. Go get ready to see the Raikage. I understand, Hinata said, kissing him on the cheek and giving him room to move. I feel cold without you, Ulquiorra said, as if he had never felt cold before, which he probably had not. Me, too, Hinata said when she saw him get out of bed and go to the bathroom to take a shower. I don't like this feeling, Ulquiorra said when he saw Hinata smile at him with that look in her eyes that said she knew what he meant. It's not forever, Ulquiorra-kun. You know that. Hinata said this in a calm voice, knowing that he had been having trouble with this since they were together and that it would take a lot of work to fill the hole in his heart. I know, but I don't think I'll ever get used to this and how I feel when I can't touch you, Ulquiorra said before going into the bathroom and closing the door. Poor Ulquiorra-kun. Don't worry, your feelings and emotions will return. I promise you. Hinata thought, I don't want him to suffer. I need to find a way for him to talk again, just like Naruto. Okay. Maybe not as good as Naruto, but better than Ulquiorra Schiffer's emotionless face and inability to feel anything. Office of Raikage. You wanted to talk to me? Ulquiorra asked as he appeared on Garganta. He was getting ready to go to Wave to make a deal with Mist. Yes, I got another piece of information from Konoha, but I'm not sure what to do with it because it didn't come from one of my spies in the village. I think your opinion would help me decide what to do, the Raikage said when he saw the Arrancar nod. When Ulquiorra saw that the Raikage didn't want to tell him, he asked, what's the information, and who gave it to you? Basically, the information says that the Hokage, who I think has lost her damn mind, knows about the meeting you're going to have with Mist to talk about an alliance, and she knows everything. Names, location, time, and everything else she needs to know to mess everything up for us, said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra raise an eyebrow. Who told the Leaf that our meeting was going to happen? Ulquiorra asked as the Raikage's face became more worried. It was Jiraiya of the Sannin who told the crazy Hokage about the meeting and the details behind it, said the Raikage, noticing that Ulquiorra's eyes narrowed for a moment as he thought. Ulquiorra said, it's a bribe, when he saw the Raikage raise an eyebrow. A bribe? I thought the Leaf was threatening to cancel the meeting, said the Raikage. He couldn't think of anything else it could be, but it was clear that Ulquiorra did. Yes. A bribe. It's not a threat from the Leaf. No, Tsunade would never let Jiraiya tell a rival village that she knew something important that could be used against them. This is a bribe from Jiraiya aimed at me. He wants to appease me so I don't kill him when I see my former godfather again like I did in Wave Country. To make up for past sins and let sleeping dogs lie, if you will. What are you going to do? If Tsunade finds out about the meeting, she'll send every shinobi she can find and attack you with everything she's got, said the Raikage as he watched Ulquiorra walk away to the Garganta, which had been reopened for his use, and turned to look back at the leader of Kumo. She can come at me with Kyuubi at her command. I will crush everything and everyone she sends against me. It will be like I killed her children. I will lay down everyone Tsunade sends at her feet and watch the once proud woman fall to her knees in despair as she looks at her shaking hands that are stained with the blood of the shinobi she sent to their deaths, Ulquiorra said before entering the Garganta. Damn. Reminder to self. Don't make Ulquiorra Schiffer angry. Ever. The Raikage thought this as a chill ran down his spine and it took him 15 minutes to stop. Meeting place for the Wave Country Alliance. Mizukage-sama, we've checked the area and haven't found any enemies yet, Ao said when he saw the red-haired woman nod. Good. Don't let anything happen to the Spring Daimyo, either. She's a witness to this meeting, and if she dies, it will look bad on our village, Terumi Mei said to the woman as she waited for the group from Kumo. Don't worry about anything. Nothing bad will happen because he won't let it, the Spring Daimyo said in a firm but kind voice. The Mizukage said, I still can't believe this Ulquiorra Schiffer was once Uzuamki Naruto. The two of them looked nothing alike, and the boy was thought to be dead, but this pale-skinned man is very much alive. Yes, but with him, nothing is what it seems, and the impossible becomes possible, Koyuki said with a smile as he remembered how the boy fought against the enemy even though he had no chance of winning. Ulquiorra Schiffer rode up on Garganta and stood in front of them. He sat down in a chair across from the Mizukage and didn't pay any attention to the mist shinobi standing behind the Mizukage. He could tell that the Spring Daimyo was happy to see him but sad to see that the Arrancar was not the energetic Uzuamki Naruto she knew. She realized that boy was dead because the person in front of her was just a shadow of himself. Ulquiorra said, I'm sorry I'm late. I'll be the only one from Kumo at this meeting representing the Raikage. Koyuki nodded, but Ao from Mist narrowed his eyes at him. He didn't like the idea of the Raikage not being here in person at this meeting. I assume you have proof that the Raikage sent you to this meeting on his behalf, Koyuki said, knowing that if the Arrancar couldn't show proof right away, he would be seen as a threat and have to be killed. Ulquiorra said, yes, and then pulled out the seal of the Raikage emblem, which was given to only a few people to carry out the Raikage's wishes in the name of the cage. Everyone who had one showed what the Raikage thought about things in general. In a few words? The man trusted everyone with that symbol. The Mizukage said, I know the seal is real because I have one of my own, and I know it's almost impossible to make something like that. Very well. Then I'll call this meeting between Kumo and Mist to order. Ulquiorra Schiffer, you have the floor first, said Koyuki, seeing Ulquiorra nod in agreement. Thank you, Spring Daimyo-sama. Mizukage-sama, as you probably know, the world has been falling into chaos and drowning in its own blood. Innocent people who don't deserve to suffer are suffering, while those who cause it are in power and use it to do what they want with a sense of invincibility. This can no longer be allowed, Ulquiorra said, seeing the Mizukage nod in agreement. Yes, but why look for us? Mist is still recovering from the Bloodline Civil War, and Kumo has most of the Jinchuriki on their side. The Raikage doesn't need us to win any upcoming wars with those who want to fight against him, said the Mizukage, who knew how powerful Kumo had become and how much bigger it was than the other villages. True, but the Raikage doesn't want Mist to be drawn into the war and end up on the losing side. Surely you realize that if this alliance between Mist and Kumo doesn't happen, the other villages opposing him will offer you the same to fight us, and as you've already said, Mist is still recovering from its own internal war, Ulquiorra said, seeing the woman nod since she was sure the villages would see Mist turning down Kumo's. You think the other villages won't have enough power to fight against the Raikage, the Mizukage said. This made Ulquiorra raise an eyebrow and wonder if the rumors about the Arrancar being emotionless were true. You think they have the power, but I can assure you that the 5 Jinchuriki who live in Kumo are not the village's fangs, and it's not just the other villages that need to be destroyed, Ulquiorra told the red-haired woman. You're talking about the Akatsuki group, the Mizukage said when he saw the Arrancar nod his head. They want to take the demons away from their hosts, which would kill the hosts. I can't let that happen. Jinchuriki are only used as weapons by villages, then thrown away or locked away until they seal the demon into another person years later, so the cycle of abuse can continue. The Akatsuki want to use the combined power of the demons to hold a blade to the world's throat and force it to submit to their rule. I can't let that happen, Ulquiorra. I agree. Yes, my predecessor was a Jinchuriki, but there is proof that he was manipulated by outside forces and wasn't the monster we thought he was, said Mei, who had found Yagura's journal and read it to see proof that the man had been manipulated by what was written in it. Whatever turned him into a monster didn't stop him from writing things in his journal so that someone could fight this unknown puppeteer and stop history from happening again. Yagura had written clues about the fiend in the journal, but it was heavily coded, probably to keep the wrong person from reading it and to keep the puppeteer from finding out that his or her puppet was secretly taking over his or her plans. There's also a good chance that the Akatsuki group has also gotten Mist's second Jinchuriki, Ulquiorra said when she saw Mei nod in agreement. We haven't seen him in 3 years. I fear he was the first one they took. From what I've heard, you're the main reason the others haven't been taken, and you've killed more than half of their top members, Mei said, seeing the Arrancar nod in agreement. And a former one that was the late Orochimaru, Ulquiorra said simply. Very impressive, but we're getting off track with this meeting, and I want to know what Mist gets out of this alliance with Kumo, Mei said, wanting to get to the heart of the matter with this proposal from the Raikage. Ulquiorra said to the Mizukage, who was nodding her head in thought, an alliance with Kumo will help Mist get back on its feet by allowing trade between the two countries. Mist can also learn new things from Kumo and teach Kumo a few things in return. I'm assuming the things we talk about will make sense, the Mizukage said when he saw the man nod. Of course. What we give each other will be carefully weighed to make sure it's fair, Ulquiorra said. He knew that a fair trade of shinobi arts would keep people from getting angry and violent. If Mist joined this alliance, who would we be fighting against in terms of the big villages? Asked Mei. Ulquiorra said in a calm voice, Iwa, the Leaf Village, and the small village Taki are all possible. The Mizukage asked, and Suna? The Kazekage and I are good friends. If anything, he'll join this alliance and help us beat our enemies. I can tell you are not like the late Tsuchikage or the current Hokage when it comes to Jinchuriki. You have a level head on your shoulders, and that is something I and the Raikage respect, Ulquiorra said, pausing for a moment and turning his head slightly. What is it? Asked the Mizukage as Ao looked around the building and the area around it with his eye. Unwanted guests, Ulquiorra said when he realized it was Leaf Shinobi, and this time there were a lot of them. Ao was surprised to see so many Leaf Shinobi and said, Leaf Shinobi. I'm sure they want to kill us all at the end of this meeting, Ulquiorra said as he got out of his chair. The samurai guard on Koyuki's right said, they wouldn't dare hurt the spring daimyo. Given the mental state of their Hokage, they would definitely do that, and they would make it look like the meeting didn't go well by having everyone draw weapons. This would leave Spring Country without a leader, weaken Mist to the point where anarchy could destroy what stability the Mizukage has created, and make Kumo look like the bad guy to make them look even worse, Ulquiorra said as he left the room to fight the enemy. Mizukage asked the Arrancar, who was looking back at her, how do you know that? Because that's what I would have done in their situation, Ulquiorra said as he left the room. He was soon outside, where a large group of Leaf Shinobi were holding their weapons. It's your time, monster. You and the others who are plotting against the Leaf will die soon, said a Leaf Junin who had his sword ready. Ulquiorra looked around at the small army of Leaf Shinobi and asked, there are so many of you this time. Where is Jiraiya of the Sannin? You don't deserve to be in his presence, let alone fight him, abomination, a Leaf Shinobi of the Chunin rank seemed to say. I see. He's not here. That's too bad. When he tried to bribe me, I thought he'd show up and explain himself. Unfortunately, that's not the case, Ulquiorra said as he pulled out his sword and held it in his hands. Kill them all. Shouted the leader of the group, a Junin, as the Leaf Shinobi around him charged forward to kill Ulquiorra and the people inside the building. Ulquiorra said, it never ceases to amaze me how annoying trash can be until it's in your face, stinking so badly you want to throw up everything in your stomach, as he cut through them easily. The ones he didn't cut through were destroyed by well-planned bala attacks on shinobi who went around him to save the people inside. There's no doubt that their deaths and his survival would start rumors, and that a scandal like that would make him more enemies. Ulquiorra Schiffer wouldn't stand for it. When it was over, every Leaf Shinobi was either dead or dying from injuries caused by the Arrancar. The pale-skinned man put his sword away and walked over to the leader of this army, who was lying on the ground. The nameless Junin, who was going to die soon anyway, tried to look brave by spitting blood on Ulquiorra's shirt, but the former espada caught the wad of blood and saliva and smeared it on the Leaf Shinobi's face before taking the scroll hanging from the man's hip. High priority. The goal of the mission. At Kumo and Mist's secret meeting, kill everyone. Make it look like two sides broke down in talks and pulled out weapons. Put the blame for it and the death of the Spring Daimyo on Kumo. Don't spare anyone and don't leave any witnesses, even if they are Wave residents or their family members. The fifth Hokage, Konoha's councils, and clan leaders. Ulquiorra went back to the meeting room when she saw the proof she needed to bury the leaf even deeper. She threw the scroll on the table for the Mizukage to read before she gave it to the Spring Daimyo. The two women looked upset, to say the least, because they didn't want to be used as pawns by another village, and the former Espada knew how they would react when they heard this. Ulquiorra-sama, I speak for the Mist Village when I say that you have my support in our alliance in taking down the Leaf and any of her allies. Tell your Raikage that we look forward to helping him against our common enemies, said the Mizukage, who was going to enjoy burning Konoha to the ground and showing that Senju what happens when you cross a female Mizukage. I'd like to join this alliance, too, Ulquiorra-sama, Koyuki said when he saw Ulquiorra nod his head. From what I just read in this scroll, it seems clear that the leaf needs to be destroyed and their Hokage brought to justice. Ulquiorra bowed to them both and said, I'll tell the Raikage about this right away, and then I'll come back to give you both the documents we need to make our alliance stronger. Until then, I suggest you both go back to your own territories to avoid another attempt on your lives, and he left. When the man stopped again, Koyuki said, Ulquiorra-kun, wait. Yes? Ulquiorra turned a little to look at him. What are you now? A hero or a bad guy? Koyuki asked when he took a moment to think. I am both and neither. I am just. Ulquiorra Schiffer, Ulquiorra said as he left the room to give everyone time to think about what he had said. He stopped a few feet outside the building before turning to the tree where someone was watching him. That person fell to the ground and showed herself to be Mitarashi Anko, the special Junin of the Leaf. Is it true? Asked Anko as he walked toward him. Ulquiorra asked the woman, are you a true Leaf shinobi? He was a little surprised that she didn't go into a rage because she had killed so many of her allies and their bodies were all around them. Anko asked Ulquiorra, who nodded, that you killed Orochimaru and Kabuto. That you took Kusanagi and still have it? Yes. Why do you ask? Doesn't seeing so many of your friends die make you angry and want to hit me? Ulquiorra asked when he saw Anko laugh without meaning to. Are you kidding? These fools hated me? I was Orochimaru's first student and a failed experiment for his curse seal. People saw me as the proverbial snake in the grass. They thought I would betray them, so they made my life miserable from day one. Anko said with venom in her voice. When Ulquiorra saw Anko shrug a little, he asked, I see. So why do you serve them? I honestly don't know. I mean, where else can I go? If I run, they'll just find me, and then I'll be in even more trouble when they bring me back to the Leaf, Anko said, making Ulquiorra raise an eyebrow. Ulquiorra said to Anko, come with me to Kumo, when he looked like he had grown a second head. Anko asked, what? To make sure she heard him right. Ulquiorra said, come with me to Kumo, where I'm sure they'll be more polite than the Leaf ever was. He said this as if it were the easiest thing in the world. Anko said to the Arrancar, who had just the slightest hint of a smirk on his face, you do realize the Hokage is going to lose her mind over this, right? I'm willing to bet that she already has, Ulquiorra said, knowing that if the woman wasn't already going crazy, this would drive her crazy and make her feel even worse. Hokage's office, after a few days. When the Hokage saw Jiraiya shrink up in front of her, she yelled, what? Ulquiorra killed all of the Leaf shinobi who were sent to stop the meeting and took Mitarashi Anko with him to Kumo. I barely survived the fight, Jiraiya said, knowing that his lie was now part of the truth and could come back to bite him later, but since he had already betrayed Tsunade, he might as well go with it and see how far he could get before she figured it out. Tsunade yelled, damn him. Because she couldn't believe that little shit had done this to her and taken away the village's second best interrogator. Jiraiya had pulled the last rookies and their senseis from the mission at the last minute because he thought they would be most useful in the village when it came time to fight Ulquiorra here. This was the only thing she couldn't be mad about. Jiraiya's move didn't make Tsunade happy, but if everyone who was fighting Ulquiorra on this mission hadn't died, the Fire Daimyo would have had the Senju woman kicked out of this office and put a fool with a pencil in charge. It's getting worse, Tsunade. Not only did the Mizukage agree to the alliance with Kumo, but so did the Spring Daimyo and the Kage of Suna, Jiraiya said as she watched Tsunade throw another temper tantrum in her office like a child who couldn't have a favorite toy. When Tsunade had calmed down a bit, she asked, where do we stand with Iwa? They're in it to the end. The death of their beloved Tsuchikage has made the new one, the old man's granddaughter, basically get everyone in Iwa to swear an oath of blood to kill Ulquiorra and all those who are on his side, Jiraiya said, seeing that Tsunade was at least happy with that piece of information. Good. I'm going to crush that brat if it's the last thing I do, said Tsunade when he saw the man nod, but Jiraiya was mentally shaking his head and wondering how things got so out of hand. We sold him out. It doesn't matter if I help him now or not. Jiraiya thought, I can at least find a way to pay off a small part of the debt I owe my godson. He knew he had to be careful that Tsunade didn't find out.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.